Hello everybody, it's been a long time, but here I am and jolly glad I am to be here at last. I thought I'd keep it light for this video, for Sandal's grand finale of healing her tumour naturally. And before we start everything, can I just say it is completely healed, and it's been healed for a long time, and I'm super sorry I didn't make this video earlier, but I was just so happy with not living in that situation anymore. I didn't even want to go back to it in my mind to make a video to let everyone know how well everything's been doing. And I can't even remember what I've said in the other videos because it was so long ago, and I hate to watch them because I hate to see Sandal and myself in that situation. So I don't know what I've missed, but I feel like with this retrospective that I have now, I can sum everything up in a really clear, awesome way to give anyone any advice or whatever for this. Sorry, I'm trying to talk fast because I don't want this to go forever, and I feel like I could talk for hours about this. So, let's get started. Sandal had a big tumor growing on her face here. It was probably like about 2-3 centimeters swollen, ridiculously swollen. She was not eating, she was hiding in the dark, and it was just growing and growing and growing. And even one of my friends saw her and was like, take her to the vet. And I'm like, I am. So I took her to the vet. They said she doesn't seem to be in any pain, so we're going to do 2 biopsies on her. They did 2 biopsies. One came back positive. They did some more probing and found it was joined to the bone, and said they didn't have a treatment available for animals for that. And after, I think, getting around to 4 or 5 grand, they told me that the best they could do was to put her down for me, which I had to pay for on top of those thousands of dollars for nothing. Well, the tests were $500 each, so I accept the tests, but I don't know what the rest of that money paid for. So I was left thousands of dollars out of pocket in a really bad situation, and I had just been through caring for my nan for 3 years before she went into a nursing home, and I always withheld trying natural remedies before going through the medical system because I wanted to do what I thought was the best for my nan. And the medical system, in her case, made everything worse, which made my job of caring for her so much harder and so much more time consuming. So every time I thought something was going to get easier, it became harder, and her quality of life reduced drastically, which broke my heart. So then, after going through the medical system and having things become worse and worse, I would then, out of desperation, finally try a natural remedy on my nan and get such good results that I would go, no, why didn't I try this in the beginning? I could have avoided, surgeries and extreme procedures, and not only had not only would it have not made things worse, but I could have possibly healed her of it all in the first place, instead of wasting all that money with my nan. My grandparents are bled dry through through what's happened with my grandmother. I could have avoided so much of that, and her she could possibly just be a normal nan and not a vegetable in a nursing home right now, I'll honestly say. And so with Sandal, I thought, I am not going through that again. If they cannot help me, if I know that there are other ways, I've experienced miraculous results with a human being, and yeah, with other human beings, so why not try it on my cat? So with that situation at the vets, that just reminded me of my nan, and I was like, get Sandal out of here, you can do nothing for me. and I just started looking up every tumor healing an anti-tumor herb, food, plant, whatever that cats can safely ingest. I started anything that like every like it can't hurt, right? So I was playing, and I still play them. Hertz frequencies for removing tumors, the frequency of the Earth's magnetic field, the Schumann resonance, healing music, people toning. There's lots of beautiful toners on YouTube. So I was using frequency. I was using cancer healing herbs, and that's all in the first videos. And because her tumor, she's purring because she thinks I'm getting excited and talking to her, and because her tumor was so aggressive in the beginning, I feel like it was necessary, and in retrospect, I'm glad I went to such extremes with injecting the juices down her throat and everything that I was doing in the beginning with the cannabis oil, because her tumor was growing out of control and there was no choice. Don't be shy, the camera's over here, you suck. The camera's we're in front of the heater and she is just melting, and she's like, "Why are you waking me up? I was having the most beautiful sleep, Dad. You're talking so loud and weird." "I'm not talking to you, baby. You're a good girl. Just go back to sleep. Just go back to sleep." So where was I? So I took a real aggressive approach, and I think that was just the right thing to do because it was so aggressive. And it definitely stopped the growth immediately, and then there was a slow shrinking of the tumor over a year. Sometimes there would be quick bursts where it would shrink. I'm not talking to you. Don't get upset. Go back to sleep. Um, there would be quick bursts where the tumor would shrink, and almost overnight. Sometimes it would grow a tiny little, like it was just going up and down, but always still shrinking, shrinking, shrinking. And then I moved to the country. So that was about 3 months into the situation. Then I moved to the country, and about 6 months after that, it just mellowed out to this slight lump, but you could still feel the slight swollenness of the tumor. And then I moved into learning about Ayurveda and how every different person or being is a combination of different traits which requires a specific treatment for that person. So Sandal, little fat guts, obviously being a big round kapha body type, as they call in Ayurveda, taking that into account, I changed her diet completely over to Ayurvedic diet. I stopped juicing, um, because it was really traumatizing both of us. I stopped the cannabis because it had just mellowed down to this fine lump. So I was giving her all these hardcore treatments still, but not seeing the results I was seeing in the beginning. And we were both just not happy doing these treatments every day. Like, I'm so lucky she still loves me, because that's was full on. So instead of that, I just started mashing fresh organic fruit, herbs, finely chopped herbs, the same ones I was juicing, but I just started finely chopping them and slowly introducing them into her food. And because of her body type, warming the food up instead of her having to always eat icy cold meat from the fridge. She could eat warm meat, so her digestive system didn't have to waste so much energy cooking or heating up the meal to digest it, and her energy could focus on healing. And and yeah, so that was really good. And but and it was almost gone, like basically nothing. And to me it seemed gone at this point. To me it seemed completely gone, and I'm glad I didn't make the video at this point. So to me it seemed completely gone. But then, because it was so completely gone, I just started relaxing, and that whole trip was over, and it was done, and Sandal was healed and normal, and it was just great. And so yeah, and shortly into that, where I basically stopped stressing at all, and it wouldn't really matter if I forgot to put the herbs or fruit in her food. It wasn't that stressful regime anymore. It was just like, yeah, she can go with, she can go without, it's all cool. So it got to that phase, and when it got to that phase, it actually sunk in and created, I can feel the bone. There's no lump there. There's no swollenness anymore. Her lip is slightly deformed from here, where the vets took the biopsy. When they stitched her lip down, cats have a tiny little flap here, and they stitched it down so the flap pokes out. So basically, I paid $4,000 for her to be slightly deformed and to scare the shit out of us. Not impressed. And you think they would have done it a million times and knew how to do it properly, but they probably already decided that they were just going to charge. I don't know. Let's not talk about that. So once I just relaxed, it went away. And you know what? I'm in the country now where I grew up, and people don't over obsess over their animals like they do in other parts. And I'm talking to oldies who have had so many animals and stuff, and they're like, yeah, pets get lumps and bumps, they come and they go, and blah, blah, blah. And I know hers was so aggressive, and I am glad that I acted on it. But if I wouldn't have, I feel like the stress makes it worse. And it's so hard not to be stressed because we're taught that tumors are so horrible, and we've had such a devastating history with tumors. So it's only logical to freak out and to feel bad, to feel sad, to have all those emotions that you don't really want. But once I let that go, I feel like the tumor was let go as well in some weird sense. And I wish that I would have calmed down in the beginning and not been so devastated, because for just my own inner knowing, whether it's right or not, I feel like me making it into such a big deal didn't help, like emotionally, like doing a big deal over the natural remedies and the herbs and the frequencies and the Vedic diet. I think that was good extremes to go to, but the emotional extreme I went through, I don't think was helpful for her. And I think, yeah, it's all kind of connected. So yeah, the advice I would give someone from the very start is to just calm down, because I feel like that would have helped the whole process in some way. And then after all of that, the unthinkable happened. So what happened was I had to leave my job last winter and wasn't prepared and didn't have money saved and didn't have enough money to buy sandal the meat, which is pretty cheap anyway. I had a very poor winter, which is ironic because it's winter again and now I'm doing very well. But it was a very poor winter, so I stumbled across a new brand of dried cat food that claimed to be all natural and was super cheap, and it just made life so much easier. For around 5 months, I fed her this dried food predominantly, and I noticed she had a lump in her belly, quite a big one, like way bigger than the one that's on her face, like around that big. And I'm like, animals get lumps and bumps, don't stress. I didn't think about it. And then about 4 in the morning one morning, she woke me up really rudely, and I thought she needed to go to the toilet, but she just wanted me to feed her, and so I was like, fuck you. And she was being real, like, demanding, like, feed me, feed me, feed me. So picked her up and chucked her outside like I usually do. But she landed all funny and didn't, cats always land on their feet, but she didn't. And I felt so bad. And I remember going back to bed thinking, Sandal's over 13 years old now. She's not a spring chicken anymore. I have to, treat her with more respect like you would a older lady. She's not a kitten anymore. And I thought, geez, I haven't noticed how much she's aged. And she was having trouble getting up on the couch. Some nights she could, some nights she couldn't. So I was putting steps for her to get up where she liked to go. And I just thought she was old. And I just put it down to being old. And then and even she was looking shabby. Her fur was looking shabby. She was just looking a bit crusty and dusty. And I thought, well, she's my old cat now. And then all of a sudden, she started peeing inside relentlessly right in front of me. And I'm like, what is going on? You never pee inside. And, I'm telling you off and kicking you outside for it. And you're running back in 5 minutes later and peeing in the same spot. And as I was cleaning it up, I noticed it was a bit dark. And I thought, oh, maybe the carpet's dirty and something's coming up with the pee because it's a rental, and didn't think too much of it. And then she peed on the lino in the kitchen, and I saw there was actually blood in the pee. And then she ran right up in front of me in the lounge room, and right in the center of the lounge room, meowed at me and peed. And when she was doing these pees, they weren't full pees. It was like she was trying, I thought she was trying to get back at me or piss me off by doing these deliberate wheeze, but she was actually trying to show me something was wrong. So I noticed there was blood in the pee, and as soon as I noticed, she stopped peeing in the house, thank God. Um, and and I thought, shit, we have to go right back on the regimen. But I've grown a lot of herbs and dried them. A lot of really good herbs, holy basil, a mix of sage, a really good sage mix, mugwort, angelica, um, rosemary, dill, fennel, all these beautiful herbs that cats can eat. And so I took her straight off the dry food from that day, got her back on the organic and wild meat. The boys up here hunt a lot of deer, so I can get deer, a lot of chicken and bird meat because it's good for her body type, and started mixing in the herbs, the fruits, the vegetables into her food. And because I'd slowly introduced them, she was already used to them, so I knew I could get a lot more into her by her just eating it on her own. And I got the cannabis oil back big time. So I pumped her with the cannabis oil for 3 days, and I've been doing the herbs and veggies and everything in her meal ever since. And this was last winter, so we're almost coming on to a year ago when this went down. It was in the middle of winter. It's the start of winter now, so almost a year ago this all went down. And yeah, I thought, she is old. Who knows what's happening? I didn't stress out about it because I'd learnt my lesson from that. Relaxed, went hard with the herbs, the fruits, the vegetables, the cannabis oil, and within a week, the tumor it was almost gone. There's just a really soft, almost oval lump now instead of a round thing. I was just feeling it before. Um, and she's acting younger and looking better than she has in a year. This time last year, she could barely jump on the couch. Right now, there's no problem. Like, and I have to say it has to be that cat food. Even though it said it was all natural, she had some kind of reaction to it that wore her down, made her look really shabby. And I'll never go back to anything in the pet food aisle ever again. Um, yeah, and a little backstory on Sandal. I've always fed her fresh meat, but we were in the Brisbane floods and I had to relocate. So for 6 months, some really lovely people took care of her, and they loved her so much that they decided to buy the best brands of cat food or the most expensive brands of cat food and feed her whenever she wants. And the neighbor at that place decided she loves Sandal, so she made a special play area and bought Sandal every treat from the pet food aisle. And when I came to pick her up, she was so big that she couldn't clean her own back, and there was an abscess on it, and it was crazy how big compared to a slim little kitty. And she's never gone back to that slim little kitty. And I try not to underfeed her to lose weight because I don't want her. There's so many beautiful native birds, and if she's hungry, she'll just go catch a bird. But if she's fed, she'll sleep for 20 hours a day. And so at I would rather her not be starved to risk the if I starve her, I put the native animals at risk. If I feed her a good amount of natural food, of raw meat and fruits and veggies and herbs, she'll just sleep most of the day and won't be any bother. And she's a feral cat that I rescued anyway, and she's desexed. Here in Australia, we have a big problem with with our native animals. Cats have just decimated, and we're losing so many native animals. So I feed Sandal a good amount. I don't overfeed her, but I don't starve her to lose this extra weight she's got because, yeah, I want her sleeping and happy and well fed. I don't want her hunting. Even though she's 13 now, I don't know how she would go hunting. Um, and yeah, so it's all gone, and it's better. And this went down so fast. I feel like within a week, it was the situation was over. Within 2 weeks, I was like, wow. So I'm such an advocate now of feeding pets meat. And if you're here in Australia, you can get the big packets of minced kangaroo meat for around $10, and that feeds them for almost 2 weeks. So it's less than $1 a day. Mix in the herbs or whatever. If you don't have herbs, you can use like wild dandelion leaves and roots and bits and pieces. Look it up and figure that out for yourself. Um, and I guess that's it. But I also want to say thank you so much for all the nice comments. And every time somebody posts and says that this has happened to them, and that I really just for a second send out good energy to that person and that animal. And but what annoys me is when they say, um, how much of this should I use? How much of that? Generally, just look it up. 99% of fruits, vegetables, and herbs for cats, you can give them a good dose, especially if it's short term. And if you're dealing with an aggressive tumor, don't the tumors, if it's going to kill your animal, a little extra herbs, fruits, veggies, turmeric, cannabis oil, it's not going to kill your animal. And I find, and even talking to people in real life about this, they're like, I'll just use a little bit of this. It's like your animal's dying, use the whole thing. So that's the approach I took. And I'm seeing people take this pissy little approach and their animal's dying. So I say with I say the go hard or go home with the natural remedies really applies to aggressive tumors in animals. Well, it did for Sandal. I can't predict what's going to happen for everyone's experience, but I'm just sharing what happened with me and Sandal. And I've seen people do this with dogs. This is why I did it, because when I was going through this, I was looking it up on YouTube and I saw all these people do it with dogs. And I'm like, can you do it with cats? And I was looking up the plants and the herbs. I'm like, it says it's safe. Why wouldn't it work for cats? And I'm like, well, everyone's doing it with dogs and posting it. I'm going to do it with Sandal and post it because I wish someone had done this for me. When I was looking at YouTube that first day, I wish someone had already made a video and put me at ease. So I'm like, well, if this works, I'm going to do it. And if it's a scam, I'm going to say, I tried all of this. Here it is documented, and this was the result. And I'm so happy that the result is Sandal here right now, because how sad would it be if I'm like, yeah. Um, and so, yeah, thank you so much for all the nice comments, and to anyone who's questioning or scared. And I know how that feels because I went through it with my grandmother. I was so scared to give her natural remedies because I didn't know how it would react or this or that. But now that I've used them on myself. Oh, I want to throw in one more, ashwagandha. But now that I used them and went through it myself, I'm so much more confident with the amounts. And especially in a life or death situation, if you're just taking them for fun or just to see the effects, build up and be safe and take the recommended dose. But when it's life or death, like, and if the herb or plant or vegetable, fruit, spice, whatever, if that's not going to kill them anyway, go for it, I say. But always look it up. It's so easy to look it up on the internet. Any plant, herb, safe for cats. It's all been tested, and so much has been fed to animals over the thousands of years we've been with them. So there's so much information. Um, so yeah, I'm really thankful, and I love it every time I get a nice message, because in my world for the last few years, I haven't, or for a good year there, I didn't think about it at all. It was just this thing in the back of my mind. Oh yeah, I've got to make that video. Oh yeah, I've got to make that video. And I'd always get reminded by those nice messages. But I wish anyone the best of luck if they try this, and if you can, be as chill as possible, and bring that light-hearted, relaxed energy. Like, we all live, we all die. If they're gonna die, they're gonna die. If they're not, they're not. One of my favorite quotes: stress is like a rocking chair. It gives you something to do, but you're not going to get anywhere. So, yeah, I feel like not stressing, if possible, is a really better environment for a healing being. um, I guess this is it. Oh my god, I can't believe like this went on for so long, like all these years. But I feel like after everything that's happened, especially with the second round and seeing the miraculous speedy healing, um, yeah, like I feel like it's a great time to make a video and wrap it up forever. So Sandal's saying goodbye. She's gonna bite me because I'm annoying her. Bye. And you'll see her probably in the background of some of my gardening videos if you haven't already. See you, everybody. Good luck. Making breakfast for Sandal. Maybe we'll mix some homegrown basil, some dill or rosemary or sage. There's beautiful mixed herbs. Turmeric. What shall we give her? I think we'll give her the basil today, because we like to mix it up. We'll give her a lot of basil. Whoa. Now that's enough for a human. But she will eat it and get those holy basil medicine properties. It's really hard to mash this with one hand. Usually I hold the hand. Usually I use the other hand to hold the bowl. But I'm using this sandwich press to just heat it up for her, just so it's warm. So I pause it while I mash this together. There we go, and I push it down flat to the bottom of the bowl so it all heats up. Sometimes I put honey, sometimes I put coconut oil, all organic of course. Let's flip this. Oh! Heat up the other side. And Sandal's super healthy meal is ready. Where is she? Oh, who's that? The star, the YouTube star. I keep telling her, but she doesn't believe me. Are you coming or what? Hey, you're looking dead in your video last night, Miss Fire. Miss Fire Sleepy Guts. Sissums? Sissums? Okay, here you go. It's over there. Woo. Happy with that? Now, it took me a while to train her to eat these herbs in such high quantities by just putting a little bit at a time and then upping the dosage. Sandal, what you running away? And perfect timing, I just checked the mail before I was about to post this video, and the herbs that I can't grow, I get off a site called All Into Herbs on eBay. So We have, this is just what I take myself, and I just give a little bit to Sandal in the morning. Lion's mane, ginkgo blossom, dong quai, ashwagandha. And they're really cheap and they're delivered really fast. So I take a few herbal supplements every morning, and every now and then I'll put one aside and crack open this gel cap pill, and I can usually spread it over 3 meals for Sandal. If she was particularly sick, I'd give her a whole pill. Now that's a whole human dose. What? Water truck going past? That's a whole human dose, and it doesn't harm her. It probably wouldn't be healthy to give her that much every single day, but when you're dealing with an aggressive sickness, you might want to think about it. Okay, I think that's it, unless anything else comes up. Good luck, everybody!